forward. Ideas turn into high drama when they work on a strange and change people's lives. In physics, traditionally honored as a queen of science, this happens very rarely. No queen is more aloof or enigmatic. When Einstein discovered relativity, it was said by the Einstein philosopher Bernard Russell that only 3 people in the world understood it. Russell's arithmetic wasn't astronomically wrong if you are counting people outside of its physics. Relativity shook the foundations of the 3 major concepts in the field: time, space, and gravity. The cosmos would never be the same, but people's everyday lives would. Lothar Schafer planks a colorless world on the stage. Lothar Schafer planks a colorless world on the stage. Potential, which is new than as a relativity. It's also the seed of the entirely new universe, however, one that Einstein could never accept. The new universe outlined here is conscious. We are thinking creatures because the cosmos thinks. Huh? We breathe with life because the primary ingredients of the life are embedded in the fabric of nature, not just the elements that evolve into the organic chemicals. The process of life itself is basic to the universe and has invisibly guided it since the Big Bang. A fan of James Joyce writing once gushed that he used so many words. He replied that it wasn't the words, it was where you put them that matters. The universe has taken its vocabulary of the atoms and molecules and arranged them precisely to give rise to human DNA and human mind. This book tells how and why that happens. We are the expressed potential of the creation, the way that the Da Vinci Mona Lisa is the expressed potential of his genius. But it's not the science that I want to emphasize the first, but its human dimensions. No one, including Einstein himself, has had the nerve to subtitle a book, as Lothar Schafer does. What quantum physics reveals about how we should live. It will be scandalous in many quarters that he makes such a statement. Physics is proud not to apply to everyday life. You and I raise a family, purpose our careers, and face the everyday challenges without the slightest need to refer to the equation of Isaac Newton and James Clerk Maxwell. Every cell in the body obeys the principle of the physics discovered by these pioneers and others. But the fact that physics the fact that physics speaks in mathematics removes it from the experience of living. Ironically, the gap widened enormously with the arrival of the quantum physics over a century ago. On one side, quantum mechanics revolutionized the concept of the physical universe, turning certainly into the probabilities and the unseating the very notion of the solid particles. But on the other side, everyday life goes on. How can nature contain 2 opposite worlds? The everyday world, which is usually labeled Newtonian, surround us through the physical objects. Our five senses feel, see, and hear what's going on in the Newtonian world. Looking out into the space, the vast distance between the stars may awe us, and the empty void may send a shiver through us. But planet Earth is the offspring of the familiar cosmos, in that even the most distant galaxy is a secure physical thing. The other world, the quantum domain, couldn't be more different. our five senses cannot detect it. The existence of the Newton's building blocks begins in the virtual reality. That is, in the realm of the reality that isn't accessible to our senses. All things are rooted in the unreachable realm of the nothing. Realm of nothing. That the entire cosmos could arise from the place that is beyond human experience and unknowable. Fits amazingly well with a saying from the Vedic scriptures of the ancient India. It is that which is inconceivable, but by which all things are conceived. The familiar and the inconceivable that defines the paradox of the modern physics in the world. It is sometimes called the mismatch between the microscopic and the macroscopic, meaning that what holds true at the tiniest scale in the nature, where the visible world emerges out of the realm of the invisible forms, does not hold true in our world of planets, animals, rockets, and human beings. Worse, the quantum world is more fundamental. It cannot be dismissed as a queer anomaly. Creation is born here. Genesis is now, taking place every nanosecond with an inconceivable void as our womb. Even though the conscious mind cannot cross over the border where the matter ceases to exist, it is a quantum equivalent of the Halmet undiscovered country from the whose born no traveler returns. Schafer argues that we are most at home there. The fact that we are conscious being derives from the womb of creation, the void that contains nothing we can describe in the world. But we cannot describe ourselves in the words either. Not when it comes to the consciousness. Consciousness simply is. Each person is aware of being aware. In the regard, Hamlet asks the long question. It's not to be or not to be, but to be conscious or not to be conscious. As hard as it is to imagine death, it's infinitely harder to imagine having no mind. The mind is a marker of reality. It doesn't look on the nature like a customer looking in a department store mirror, integrated by a reflection. You and your reality are one. If a sunset looks beautiful in your eyes, nothing in physics or biology can explain why. Certain wavelengths of the light strike the retina of your eye. Electrical and chemical signals travel along the optic nerve, reaching the visual cortex in the occipital lobe. Going through several stages of the neural processing, the photons that began as an emission from the sun become a sunset. Yes. What's astonishing and a complete mystery is how you see the sunset as a picture in reality. For there is no light in the brain, no images of sunset. The brain isn't a camera, not remotely. Everything you see, hear, touch, taste, and smell must be created by the mind. Other living species don't confront the same reality as you. A hummingbird or honeybee, because it possesses an entirely different nervous system, lives in an inconceivable reality. Even mammals closer to us on the evolutionary chain inhabit a reality we cannot penetrate. The porpoise auditory center occupies. The porpoise auditory center occupies 75% of its brain. The porpoise. What is a porpoise? A porpoise interprets purpose interrupts reality through the rapid clicking noise that are 6 times higher than the human hearing, emitted at a sound level of 170 decibels, the same range as a space rocket on the takeoff. Wow. And are spaced by a gap of 61,000 of their second. By comparison, when an Olympic swimmer wins a race by a few hundredths of their second to the porpoise's ear that is as slow as a tortoise. But even more radical, if we use our hearing to navigate through the world, a backseat driver would say, You almost sideswiped that truck. Are you deaf? Consciousness takes us many shapes as there are nervous systems to match. But this book goes much further than the description of the mental processing. It argues that we don't see because we have eyes or hear because we have ears. The reverse is true. The mind created a sense organs to explore the universe. As someone neatly put it, we aren't machines that are learned to think. We are thoughts that are learned to create a machine. This total reversal feels so strange at first that it can lead to our questions. Modern science is materialistic. It approaches the world as the brain came first, like a supercomputer set up to detect the physical world. Things always come first if you are a materialist or physicalist, to the use of updated term. The problem is that quantum physics proved beyond a doubt over 3 generations ago. Yes. So meaning 90 years ago, 30 years times 3. That thing didn't come first. First came the void, the pre-created universe. Then the primary universe when the Big Bang occurred, and the primary universe must be divided into its first, highly chaotic instant before the laws of nature had course, lasting as some contemporary estimates suggest less than 10 to the minus 4 to 3 10 to the minus 10 to the power of minus 43 seconds, which breaches immediately into the unbelievably organized state where the gravity and other laws begin to construct a coherent cosmos out of energy and then matter. The sequence is literally faster than light, or more correctly, faster than time. Yet, something organizes the sequence from the void to chaos to a coherent reality. The standard answer for that something is pure, random chance. Schafer is a tactful, at times gentle, writer about the standard model of quantum physics, but random chance makes absolutely nonsense as an organizing agent behind the creation. To accept it require a leap of faith, since it is clear that the universe has evolved in such way that chaos turned into order. There must be an explanation of how this occurred. The constants that mesh to keep the physical world from the collapsing on itself, or at the other extreme, flying off in all directions, are turned to the thousands and sometimes billions of the measurable degrees. Randomness cannot explain how such astonishing mathematical harmony came about. Still less is its best explanation. By analogy, is it plausible that you could take 2 gallons of seawater, 50 pounds of the chemical solids, the chiefly carbon, and assorted trace elements, threw them into a blender and expect to pull a human adult out of it in the end? No way. The counter argument is to begin at the end rather than the beginning. start with what we know we are: creatures with life, intelligence, creativity, orderliness, and evolution being expressed at every moment. If those qualities already existed as potentials in the pre-created state of the cosmos, the story of its unfolding is far more believable. The swirling chaos of the primary universe can then be seen as a passing stage on the way to orderliness, the way that a boiling soup once eaten turns into the orderliness of our bodies, or the smoosh of the paints of an artist's easel turn into the portrait of the King George III. By taking the word potential and following it all the way from the before the Big Bang to the present moment in the dimension of the time, from the void to the expanded universe in the dimension of the space, and from the possibility of the thought to the rich panoply of human desire, hopes, ambitions, and designs in the dimension of the mind, Schafer delivers a conscious creations. Such a creation is more our home as human beings than the mathematical model of the modern science. It embraces experience instead of data. In 1930, a famous conversation occurred between Einstein and famous Indian writer and seer Rabindranath Tagore. The world press was literally camped on the porch of the tiny cottage in the eastern Germany, awaiting what the two great minds would produce. Tagore had won the Nobel Prize in the Literature in the 1913, Einstein the Physics Prize in the 1921, but beyond their specific fields, they represented the one conception of the reality: mystical, spiritual, subjective, and its opposite, scientific, materialist, objective. Each tried to convince the other of the rightness of his worldview. Tagore argued that we live in the human universe whose reality depends on us, the beings who inhabit its center, as an expression of the cosmic consciousness. Einstein, who was respectful and astute about such a view, maintained that the existence of the physical universe that preceded human being was his religion. He chose the word carefully because he knew that scientific data don't describe reality. They describe only measurements, fragmentary snapshots expressed in the language of mathematics. Tagore is no longer a household name, although he should be, while Einstein and the scientific worldview triumphed in every aspect of the life. You'd think that the question, what is reality, has long ago been settled, but this book, along with a handful of others written by the first-thing physicists and spiritual thinkers, proves that we are far from knowing how reality works. To get any closer requires a personal journey into the domain of the consciousness that is our true source. The really outrageous word in the book's subtitle, "What Quantum Physics Reveals About How We Should Live," is "should." Schafer doesn't mean this in a moral lecturing way. Instead, the way we should live is according to our highest potential. What this book holds out is a conscious universe where human potential is infinite. Because the evolution of the mind never stops, and our true nature is mind itself. To be frank, the human potential movement, which has existed for many years, rests on the massive foundation. In the scientific age, no amalgam of the scripture, gurus, saints, and the enlightened soul will ever be adequate to transform people's lives, not on a mass scale. But please be careful about religion. Please be careful not to be brainwashed. Please. Schafer's scientific approach has a far better chance because his voice is a voice of the consciousness itself. He provokes a self-awareness in the reader by unfolding his own self-awareness, examining it from its very roots, celebrating where it might lead him. Many books offer themselves as invitations to a journey. This one is rare because its invitation comes from the heart of the creation, where the consciousness has no audience except itself, and the end of the journey is to comprehend it entirely, eternally. But please be careful about religion or any strong thought.